It's hot out here. This says 84 degrees in here. I cannot wait till my cooling system gets in. But until then, we just have to keep bearing, won't we? Alrighty then. Y'all, I'm gonna take a minute to cry tears of happiness here for a second. In all the years I spent in therapy debating, transitioning, and going over the pros and cons because my Mars is in Libra, I never dreamed this. By this, I mean acting. Because after I'd made the decision I wanted to transition and began taking more active steps, socially, physically, still not yet on hormones, the entire time I worried about acting. There was an article I read online about trans men who found increased work as an actor while trans women found less work. And then there's being a black trans woman and wondering if someone as talented and amazing as Laverne Cox had trouble getting cast, then what does that say about someone like me? I won't lie, part of the impetus and rush for me to make The Duchess, why I rushed Brandon into making this project, was after a grueling 4-month-long audition process for a role I really, really wanted, but I just didn't get. In fact, I heard nothing for a long stretch of time. So, for background, I signed with my agency in 2018. Got new headshots, I got new headshots. I was somewhat androgynous presenting, I think, because I was already kind of socially transitioning and then also growing my hair out and all that other good stuff. I guess. I don't know. But anyways, later that year, they sent me a C-mail. It's for an audition. That's what C-mails are, and you're really excited when you get one. This one was for a major network TV show with a group of people I could have only dreamed about working with. And I remember going into the big audition so excited that I had just had the opportunity. I was so excited that I had the opportunity to audition. Like, literally, that's it. Never mind, like, what it's for and who I get to work with. It's just like, this opportunity for me is so big. Like, I cried when I got my agent, cried when I got this audition. Like, look, I done all I could do to prepare. And my goal was to go in there, have fun, and do the character and do the scene justice. And I did. And I got a callback. Side note, I've noticed all the big parts I've really enjoyed and gotten the callback have been when I've adopted this attitude, because really, I get out of my own way. Anyways, I got a callback. Yay! Oh no, now I'm in my head. Now, I should also clarify that what made this audition so exciting is that it was for a black trans woman on a show that already had a black trans woman as one of the leads. Now, I actually cried when I got the first email for this audition because I saw myself in a role. And this was a big audition my agency was sending me on. Right out the gate. Literally first big audition. I would bring honor to my agency, to my agent, to me, my family, my ancestors, and descendants. Or so I thought. Callback, same energy plus a lot more nerves. Took the advice I got in a class at Drama Inc. of don't change it up, they brought you to the party because of what worked before. Thank you for that tidbit. It saves with a lot of nerves. It's like, should I do anything different? No, just keep, as they told me, do what you did in the first audition. You know, except listen a lot more. Always, always, always listen. Number one thing I tell myself going into an audition is listen. Like Beyonce. But I digress. I don't recall much more after that except spiraling into a very depressed state. I couldn't really talk about it at the time, except in therapy, because number one, you don't talk about auditions while you're in the process of them because you don't want to jinx it, and then also legal reasons, and also you don't do that. Anyways, so I cried to my therapist. It was a once-in-a-life opportunity, I told him, and I blew it, I told him. Now that's emotional me. I didn't actually blow it. Auditioning is never about blowing it or right or wrong, but who is most effective for the part and all of that jazz. And as someone who went to the other side in casting for my project and other projects, it's all about finding the right fit, and usually it's not something personal, it's just about finding who is most effective for the part. But don't tell that to my emotional brain. I blew it, and I brought shame upon my agency, I brought dishonor upon my agency, I brought it upon my agent, my family, my ancestors, and my future descendants. Long story short, literally a couple of months later, literally on my birthday, as Eddie has taken me up to Papa Do's, and I'm in my usual birthday depression funk, literally crying on his shoulder earlier that day because of experiences years previously that makes birthdays difficult for me. Either way, anyways, I get a C-mail at dinner. Oh, this is the thought process. It's on again. Another callback. The third one. I audition, and then another callback. This is 4 callbacks, and apparently, thanks to classes at Drama Inc. and the very wise words of the very talented and very experienced people there, this is normal, par for the course. Look, if you think actors have it easy, we're constantly being rejected. Now, the superstars or whatever, that's one thing, but us on the very front lines, the troopers, so to speak, it's why I say all actors need a therapist, because that can mess with your head if you let it. If you're at the top, look, you've got money to console you. Some of us are struggling to pay bills here, and also still finding validation, whatever. I didn't get the part, and the show went on. A few months later, it was unfortunately canceled, and I like to believe that I did not get the part because they just weren't going to film it because they did not know how all of it was going to plan out. But it gave me hope about well-written trans roles, and it had also written a part for a well-written trans character, the Duchess. So, at the start of the new year, January 5th, Brandon and I met to put the Duchess in motion. I will never forget that day and that meeting that we had, because I needed some way to regain control over my own destiny and casting parts for myself. That's the whole thing when I feel like it's out of my reach, is how can I find ways to make within my reach. And luckily, I'm a filmmaker, I know how to write, I can buy a camera, and I know awesome, amazing people who know how to work said camera, and sound people, and editor, and long story short, why was I in tears this morning after that really long story that was slightly braggadocious? It's not because this weekend I saw the final cut of The Duchess, and we are locked in print and ready to start submitting. It's not because I showed Eddie the cut, and later as we were driving he started talking and cut about Andrew and the Duchess and how lucky the Duchess was to have Andrew. I mean, yes, I did cry, but... it's because I have been given opportunities, even amidst this quarantine, to really lean into playing characters I identify with. I took last summer as a sign that I was on the right path, and I kept looking for signs. Last summer starting with going up to New York and performing in Pride 50, then working on The Duchess. Then there was a quiet period where I just needed to recover from all of what The Duchess had become. Then resuming my work with Black as Fuck as me in front of a mostly black audience as an out trans person, and making people laugh not because of the horrible tropes in the past, but because of what Black as Fuck had written was just absolutely funny and killed. Like, we knew it going into it. And I don't say that lightly, I say that because we put in a lot of work. Like, it's not like, yeah, we're awesome. It's like, no, we worked really hard on our show. Then getting to work on It's a Generational Thing with Robert. Storytelling sessions, intergalactic trivia night, and now the real reason I woke up this morning and as I'm going through something starting to cry, being asked to participate in this lab workshopping a play. Crying because for the past several months I've been showing up as my authentic self, and I'm finding the concerns I had for years in therapy, while valid fears, are proving to be nothing more than fears. I'm being cast, and I'm being cast in roles where I'm not perpetuating stereotypes, but getting to be 3, 4, 5-dimensional characters. I'm crying because I'm reading through this new script I was sent, and not only do I see myself in this work, but in looking at who I get to work with, people I admire and look up to, as cliche as that sounds, it makes me feel like a real actor. Like, yes, I get to work with these brilliantly talented people. I get to learn from them. I first started crying this morning because I am genuinely happy, and so long it was tears of sadness, and now it's like tears of joy. Now, don't get me wrong, yesterday was a very horribly bad dysphoric day, but despite all of that, it only registered as a 4 on a scale of 1 to 10. And yesterday I also got to rehearse one of my new favorite roles as Millsy in It's a Generational Thing. Tune in on Tuesday with Proud Mary Theater as they present Robert Futson's It's a Generational Thing. I'm happy because I'm getting to work as me in roles that I connect with and are saying something important. And I'm not having to hide or diminish parts of me, but instead being asked to shine brightly and be all of me that I can be. Yeah. If you're afraid of showing up as your authentic self, that fear is valid, that I live with that fear. I still love that fear. It is a valid fear. You're doing what you have to do to keep yourself protected. I get that. I hope you get that. I also hope that you can find a group of supportive people so that you can slowly come out of your protected zone and let your authentic self shine. I was crying this morning because I faced my fear, and finding out the fear was a lot less than I imagined. The fear was real, but I think this poem that we all know by now, let me just read this part to you. There is freedom waiting for you on the breezes of the sky, and you ask, what if I fall? Oh, my darling, what if you fly? I think that's all I have for today. As always, keep bearing lights of being, and just remember, what if you fly? I love you all, and until next time. And I cannot film anymore after 10 in the morning because it is 89 degrees in here, and yes, it looks like I'm glowing, but I am dying of sweat. I gotta go take a shower now. Love you all. Bye.